Greetings, Ranger fans. Jake here for another edition of Database Rangers Power Reviews, where we take a look back at our classic episodes of Database Rangers Power Reviews as we count down the 100 weeks to the 100th and final episode. And yeah, Sean, that means that we've only got 30 weeks left to go, which is insane. Welcome to the stream. I'm sure other people are currently filtering in. There we go. Yeah, so I know that last week we had the, or not last, 2 weeks ago now, we had the big release of Dino Fury on Netflix for its the first half of its second season. MJ and I have been slowly working our way through it, and I have been trying to write all my scripts in advance for the rapid run-throughs and deeper looks, and now that we're 2 weeks in, we've now watched the entirety of the first half of season 2, and I have all the rapid run-throughs complete. And I'm in terms of writing them, I still need to film them. And I've also written the vast majority of the deeper looks as well. I still need to finish the last 3; are still not quite done, but I currently have all the rapid run-throughs written, and basically the next 6 weeks worth of deeper looks have been written as well. I've written through 8. I'm working on 9, 10, and 11 right now. So hopefully in the next few days I will have all of those scripts done, and I can get back to really focusing on episode 97. Welcome Jenny, welcome Lex, welcome Rudy, welcome Athena, welcome Dyrano. Good to see you all. Glad you didn't miss us. Yeah, Athena, it has been a while. Ooh, and I hope that, Lex, you're enjoying the Magic Kingdom. Sounds fun. And Jenny, best of luck on your concerts. We're looking at doing auditions at the high school where I teach. We're hoping to do auditions soon we're planning to do auditions next week for 12th night. So trying to get that drama club going. It's been a couple years, and obviously the pandemic has really made that difficult, but it's looking like we might actually get the ball rolling on that this time, knocking on wood. Yeah, my big focus for the channel these last 2 weeks since releasing 96, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already, has been the Dino Fury reviews. Those will continue to be released once a week on Sundays until I've run through all 11, but I am trying to sort of front load all those scripts and hopefully film as many of them in advance and edit as many of them in advance as possible. I still need to film and edit the one for this weekend, but it's been written since last week, which is a nice change of pace because the writing tends to be the most time-consuming aspect. Oh, I'm glad that you were awake to join us, Athena. And welcome, Nightwing Josh. Good to see you as well. So, yeah, it's hard to believe that time just keeps ticking by. I've got 30 weeks left to put together the final 4 episodes, and that is extremely intimidating, especially since MJ and I have officially started house hunting, so that's going to be a whole thing. So, got an agent and all that good stuff, and we're hoping to find a house and move this year, and finally have, and I can finally have an actual studio that's not just a random spare bedroom, but like a bit more of a significant space, if possible. We'll see what happens. So, with all that said, that's sort of been our recap on the week. Not too much else, I think, to report, unless I'm forgetting something, which is entirely possible. Very tired. Good to hear that Dawn Brothers has been good so far. Yeah, I know that it's supposed to be a sequel series to Zenkaiger, but yeah, it sounds like it's really more so that sort of intro into it rather than it really being heavily tied. But I haven't checked it out yet. I want to finish Zenkaiger first, and I just haven't had the time yet. Now, after Dino Fury, what'll get adapted next? I have no idea. There's been news of filming in New Zealand that is planned for next year, but it's only for like 6 weeks, as opposed to the usual filming of like 6 months, or maybe it was like 10 weeks, something like that. It was surprisingly short for what we'd usually expect. So it seems like something that would cover like a quarter season instead of a full season. So I'm starting to wonder if season 30 might be, like a limited Netflix series or something. That's my theory, but I have no idea what to expect there, or even if it's going to be adapting Sentai at all. So we'll see what happens. I am going to try to get everything filmed before the move, so I'm just focusing on editing. But it's all going to depend on when we find a house. The market's insane. So, things can happen very, very quickly. But I really don't know. And Lex, I have heard a few people theorizing that might be Strongest Battle. I would be very surprised if they chose to adapt Strongest Battle, just because there's so many unadapted Rangers that it feels unsuited to the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers specifically. Not that stopped Super Megaforce, but I feel like they learned their lessons from Super Megaforce, or at least I hope they did. So I'm not really sure. Congratulations on 5 years watching the channel, Jenny. So, speaking of watching the channel, good segue here, let us kick things off with what everybody's here for. Before we do, let us not forget our 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat, Black Lives Matter. Number 2, say it with me, chat, fascism is bad. And number 3, say with me, chat, superheroes are fun. So let us check out our favorite superhero, Mr. Database Ranger, as we dive into Database Rangers Power Reviews Episode 70. Time's been flying by. Power Rangers Super Megaforce Episode 10, The Perfect Storm. And go.
Previously on Power Review, Alphabet Soup, they took mail.
They all drive Priuses. Of course, that line keeps coming back. And then reinforcing what's been going on with all these plot developments that have been popping up during year 2 already. And referencing the different squeeze, because the squeeze are particularly relevant during this next arc. And here we go.
Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome to
I'm not 100% sure if we'll be attending PMC or not.
Well, maybe it's not Alphabet Soup. A lot of people drive Priuses nowadays.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of drivers wear suits, sunglasses, and have an identical twin in the passenger seat.
Okay, fine. It's Alphabet Soup. I'll go after them.
At this point, it's the latest abduction.
I saved you, didn't I?
I'll split up with the fabric of reality in the process.
Then I'll be more careful this time.
A little bit more careful. We know this isn't going to go well.
I feel like this is going to be just like episode 10 of Power Rangers Super Megaforce. The perfect storm. Storm clouds are rolling in.
Yeah.
So Picard tasks Damaris with hunting down a previously unheard of and unfinished project of Romp's, the Power Rangers.
And you're right, Lex. They could have it be have the Strongest Battle be a multiversal crossover, which is possible. Oh yeah, my brother owns a Prius now.
Right. I'll catch you guys later.
He has no idea where he's going, does he? Probably not.
So while Damaris sends out
Every time I've been to and from Alphabet Soup, I've had the Morpotzners drive me. So no, I don't know where I'm going. No, wait, no. I have gone down there in the Morpotzners, in Mitch Morpotzners suit, but I don't know which path they're going on to try and stop them before they get there. It's a more specific thing.
Meanwhile, the teams are all gathered at the brain freeze, where Shailesh is sorry to inform them that his machine is busted too.
No Froyo. No one gets Froyo.
He really needs to keep better track of his creations. First Robo Knight, now this. Fortunately, we've got an app for that. Okay?
Yeah, I've got the little earbud.
Select the quantum utility electronic eye line Mark 4.
Have we still got a full name for that thing yet?
Working on it. Regardless, they can
I love the little pop-in for Mayo. It's always fun to do those little
So while Charlotte
those little
calls up Froyo
composite
Rangers,
pop-ins.
which is
This one has a number of nice clean
business,
compositing
the Rangers scoured the
with the
city for
doubles,
Tetsu, who
which
was
is
rolling around the streets of
which
town.
became my go-to special effect for a huge chunk of year
Good
2.
question. Speaking of which, I'm gonna catch up with these guys. Maybe I should work on being a little stealthier myself.
And this was just a random plaza, like, nearby where we live, nearby our apartment complex. It just felt like a really good place that we could drive around in. It's basically an outdoor mall, this big parking lot. So most of the scenes of me chasing the car are from that plaza, which was within walking distance of our old apartment. Obviously, we haven't been living there for quite some time now. And yes, you are correct, Josh. He did also go there for the book publishing review. I misspoke when I'm like, oh yeah, only the Morpotzners have driven him there. But then I'm like, no, he's walked there. He just didn't know where the car is, was the thing.
Jake parkours his way across the city towards the bus. All the while, the mysterious man assures his client that he's on the way.
But yeah,
there they are.
One of the reasons we chose this area was specifically because
Luckily, Jake's boundless athleticism
Morpotzners are adorable.
and he catches up
Was specifically we wanted to we drove around to check if there were other Priuses in that parking lot, as we'll see soon.
Allergies, the weather, and other not remotely helpful topics.
Have you read the latest from Martha Stewart? No.
Even more unluckily, this causes him to miss out on the mystery man.
Also, I just kind of love that the Morpotzners, considering the demon that inhabits them, are fans of Martha Stewart. Like, considering what we know about the demon that's been inhabiting them, that later got,
What does that button do? Please don't touch that.
Also, Rachel does a fantastic job matching her own cadence. Like, lining things up with her shots really came across really well with our alpha and our beta. And as I think I mentioned before, the original idea was that Dave's wife Caitlin was going to be up, and you see there's a random Prius, and we had like a row of Priuses, and here comes Dr. C driving a smart car, and I get hit by the smart car. I just Chris Kowalski, who plays Dr. C, had owned a smart car for so long, and I just find smart cars to be really like adorable, amusing cars. I'm like, oh, everyone in Alphabet Soup drives a Prius, but Dr. C must drive a smart car because it's just that extra level of fuel efficiency, and it just feels so Dr. C for him to watch.
Luckily for them,
And then trying to time the closing of the elevator with the thud. There's a lot of these little bits where I just keep playing around with the voiceover.
And simple as that, the Rangers are reunited with the amnesiac Tetsu. Now, if only someone had taught Mitch and Mary.
Now, I really had to play around with the elevators a lot to get this all to work with the timing and everything, considering that I had to have Rachel walk out through there twice for our alpha and our beta just to get the timing just right. So I had to like overlap a few things, have her run back and just cut it just so. But yeah, originally, Dave's wife Caitlin was Agent Q, who we briefly saw in the hallways in the flashback to Alphabet Soup in the previously known segment. But she didn't want to return for a continuing role. So I had Rachel cover as Agent R to join for episode 60 when I had her and Steve come in. And Steve I brought back for the Silver Lining two-parter to get absorbed into the rift by T Omega. And at that point I'm like, okay, what soup agent should I have abduct the Morpotzners when I needed a soup agent a pair of soup agents to abduct the Morpotzners? I'm just like, you know what? Let's bring back Rachel. She did a really good job stepping in and covering things. And it was just really fun just cutting back and forth. That was such a crazy shot to do. Because it required the Morpotzners walking in front of both Rachels. And I can't believe I did that and it came across so smooth. I'm genuinely shocked I did that and it came across so smooth. The Morpotzners going across both of them was just like, why did I do that to myself? And both those agents were me. So I had to fling myself into the wall for both of them. It was also just like a nice clean demorph right there that I enjoyed. So how come the Morpotzners act like Gem and Gemma? As was established later in the series, much later, in episode 87 we get the flashback to their backstory. They got possessed by a singular demon.
I'll even skip straight to the final battle. Okay. All right then.
And
the Megaforce Rangers race
because they're both possessed by the same demon, they're basically a hive mind, which is why they function similar to the same speech patterns as Gem and Gemma. Now Rachel was cast as Agent R just because her first name's R. But then I realized that that I had already had DB use Agent R. Oh, and I'm pretty sure those two are possibly both me, or no, I think those two are me and Rachel. Or possibly me and MJ. I forget who's who in that one.
It's morphing time.
Also, they just kept going with the girl from Ipanema. And it was actually really challenging for them to say and sing for this entire thing because they had their ears plugged. So I have so much footage of them doing the girl from Ipanema doot doots. That went so long. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, Rachel became sort of my go-to soup agent this season because I realized after the spring season that I wanted to try and dig a little bit more into Alphabet Soup through the lens of more specific agents. And since I had already gotten rid of Agent H through the little mini riffs created by T Omega, Agent R became, the R agents became the sort of go-to agents for the Super Mega Fall. And it just felt very appropriate. And Rachel was just always very reliable, very well committed to anything I was asking from her. Asked questions about her characters and the differences between them, and actually worked on developing subtle differences between Alpha and Beta. And although she really just kind of got into it at the beginning as a favor to me to do this one little bit to cover for Caitlin, now she became the most recurring agent of the entire series. And I really like how much I've had a chance to dig into the Agent R character, specifically R Beta, who's got her own flashback in '87 and everything, and her own backstory.
They all return to the brain freeze.
And this whole bit with the Morpotzners is just so fun because he has no idea that they've been in with Alphabet Soup the entire time.
And insists that his client keep a closer eye on those suspicious kids in the future. And that's the end of the episode. So, what did I think of it? Well, we have some unfinished business here. You guys think you can stay in here for a couple minutes and stay out of trouble? Sure. I'm feeling very confused right now. On the one hand, this episode has more original storytelling and on more footage than just about any other Megaforce or Super Megaforce episode that has come before. It not only
The Perfect Storm is the Perfect Storm is a very strange episode in regards to. This I think is Jonathan Zakor's favorite episode of Super Megaforce, and he actually put the most effort into it.
this really
And
does
it's
underscore just
strange
how
because
reliant
it's
the
such a
series has been
standalone
on
episode
word of
compared to
mouth footage up
everything
until
else.
this point.
And it's actually rather surprising
Some
how
high-heavy episodes
often
have generally existed
when you
for the
ask
purpose of saving the budget for times
when you
when
ask
original
writers like their
stories
favorite
aren't
episodes,
needed.
a lot of
Like large-scale
times
finales,
there'll
game
be
changers, and
those standalone
team-ups.
episodes.
Instead, we get a standalone filler episode with a plot
Where they just had fun with it and everything went smoothly. Because a lot of times, finales and premieres can be very stressful and reliant upon other things. Whereas these standalone episodes, it can be very self-contained, and you can have a lot of fun with it. I think Simon Bennett's favorite episode of Dino Fury, or at least Dino Fury Season 1, is, I think, The Matchmaker. And Chip Lynn's for Dino Charge was Dino Supercharge, I believe, was Home Run Coda. So you never know, what episodes are really going to be like favorites for the writers, because a lot of times it won't be the ones that necessarily make the biggest impact in the show itself.
Expecting someone else? Please have a seat.
And here we have Database finally coming face to face with the Secretary.
Was it? I guess that makes sense. So, if you don't mind me
Now,
asking, Secretary of what?
This was originally intended
Never mind.
to feature Shelby, who plays the Secretary in later episodes, and who did a cameo appearance in episode 33, where you only saw her from the back. And I intended for this to be the reveal of her face. But it fell apart, and I couldn't get her there in time for us to film. So I basically decided to have this just be a completely one-sided conversation, and MJ is just the back of the Secretary for this. Thank you very much, Derek. Derek loves STSM. And somehow it just kind of worked for building a bit of extra ominous. I love that little salute as he leaves. A little bit of extra ominence to the Secretary. And of course they walk back out as if they've just washed their hands, and just felt very appropriate. And then here's the moment where it all goes wrong. He gets into the elevator and is going to ask them what they were thinking, and the squee cuts out. We don't know why. And that's where we leave off that episode, on a pseudo cliffhanger, where the only thing happening is just that one little glitch of the squee at the very end. And we don't know why yet. We get to discover why several episodes later. But it takes some time. And obviously we build it up across the course of the next few episodes. A bit of De Niro from Meet the Parents. Oh, with regards to the showdown with the Secretary? And there is a lot, yes. And there's the tranking. So much trank darts. Please stop with the trank darts. Yeah, that was definitely a scene where I really had to kind of carry it. This was really sort of a Database coming into his own in certain regards, because he's decided to stop being afraid of alphabet soup. He's already defeated them so many times, and in many regards, with the exception of T Omega, so easily. Like, at this point, the agents have stopped being a threat to him, and the organization's not really a threat to him outside of their experiments. And after all these bits of, all this sneaking in, sneaking out, sneaking in, sneaking out, he's sick of it. And so he arrogantly decides to go in on his own, rescue the Morpotzners himself, and face down the Secretary. And that arrogance ends up being his downfall here. He thinks he's got it covered because he's the only person in this world that is a Power Ranger. But as we see very quickly, that is not enough to actually protect him. And thinking he can go it alone, as the Phantom Rangers want to do, ends up putting him and all of his friends, sadly, in major danger as we go into the next big arc. And this next arc is one that I did have in mind for a long time. It stretched out probably a little longer than I really anticipated. I think I was originally aiming for it to be a 5-episode arc like the original Green with Evil. And it stretched out to more like 7/8 episodes-ish. But I liked how things went from here. So when did the Morpotzners infect DB with the Venjix virus? So here's the thing. The Morpotzners, when they were on K's computer in episode 64, the squee temporarily cut out, and we didn't know what they did with the computer during that time. But they got a bunch of data, including data on Venjix and the squeeze. So as soon as they have Database alone, by himself, locked with him in that elevator, they immediately shut down the squee, knock him out from behind, because as we've seen, they are formidable, and infect him with the virus that they had shared with Alphabet Soup, for the purposes of generating chaos, and trying to work towards having the Phantom Ranger under their control, which, as we've seen in episode 96, is definitely a major goal with the Landlord. But yeah, it's surprising that we're getting so close to 700 videos on the channel. That's so many. And yes, Megaforce and Super Megaforce did try too hard to be Mighty Morphin. That is very true. They were aiming for that anniversary thing. Oh, the watching you sign from Meet the Parents. Yes, that's what you were referring to. Yeah. Yeah, I probably took it a little bit from that. It's also just, a very general sign there. But yeah, after Power Reviews, what is next? A nap? Hopefully, maybe. Here's the thing. I have been racking my brain trying to decide what I will do with this channel when the series is over. I do intend to finish doing rapid run-throughs and deeper looks for Dino Fury by the end of the year. Whether that happens before or after Power Reviews actually ends, I don't know. So I have an idea of what will of what will be the end of what I intend to wrap up this year with. But I don't know what next year is going to be. I don't know what next year means for Power Rangers, because nothing's been announced yet. And I don't know what next year is going to be for this channel. I have been heavily debating the idea of retirement from YouTube. I haven't decided on that or not, but at the end of this year, it will have been 10 years working on the channel. I've been debating the idea of trying a new channel or starting a new series on this channel that's not serialized. I'm playing around with a few different ideas. Something that might not be focused on Power Rangers, or something that might not be scripted. Possibly something having to do with interviews or analyzing different superhero franchises. I've been playing around with whether or not I want to continue doing the rapid run-throughs and deeper looks into next year. Whether I want to continue doing scripted reviews of Power Rangers episodes or unscripted little vlogs on Power Rangers episodes, like I know most people do when they do their reviews. So I'm really not sure what 2023 is going to mean for this channel. If you have feelings about what you want to see from the channel when Power Reviews is over, please continue to share them. Every now and again, people will comment, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube, and I love to have that feedback. It really gives me an idea of sort of what my audience is wanting, and that can help me as I'm trying to find my direction in terms of what I want to do. Because this has been just such an endeavor, and I do want to make sure that whatever I do next, I'm leaving enough time for my family, and to sort of to contribute more to my community. For instance, after Power Reviews ends, which is planned for October, I'm going to try very hard to jump into volunteering for the midterms and getting the vote out. Excuse me, my voice is getting a little dead. And just trying to make a difference in that regard. Because the balance in the Senate could make or break a lot of the things that we worked for 2 years ago. And I really want to try and push for that. Because I think that's very important. And if it's one of those things where if it slides, there can be a ripple effect that could come back to hurt us in 2024 and prevent us from achieving any goals we may be aiming for regarding climate change for the end of the decade. Because the end of this decade is sort of that climate change deadline that everyone's been talking about for years. And I really want to make sure that we can hit that deadline, as a species, as a planet. But I have no idea. Oh, any guess what Power Rangers series for 2025? Would it be anything with SPD? Honestly, I still have no idea what they're doing with 2023, so I can't even begin to guess what 2025 might be. I don't even know if they'll still be using Sentai at that point. I don't know if everything will still be in the same continuity at that point. Like the 30th anniversary could be a wrap up on a chapter of Power Rangers. I don't know. We're at a very uncertain time, I feel, for the franchise. And yeah, Lupac could work as a prequel to SPD. I've often thought that Q Ranger would make an excellent prequel to SPD, with the space theme and the inclusion of multiple different alien species, leading into SPD being a more open force on Earth. That's an idea I've had in mind for years, but as we've established, the current producers aren't particularly interested in exploring Q Ranger. So, I don't know. Maybe a fan film at some time. I'm also, somewhere down the line it might be fun to do like another fan film like Grid Defense, adapting another unadapted series that, 3 years down the road will suddenly become a Power Rangers series just because, the world is weird. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know where it's all going to go. I don't know. I still don't know if I'm going to go to Power Morphicon this year because there's a wedding that weekend that of some old friends that I'd really like to attend. So it's possible if I do go to Power Morphicon, I might only be there for a day, which means I would have to plan other things to do during that trip. There are definitely some people I would love to see. But I also have no idea if it's even going to happen, because we've had so many spikes and so many variants, and I don't know what the end of August is going to look like. So it's everything's very up in the air right now. I wish I had something to tell you about what the future will hold. I do not. I got nothing. And yeah, streaming Netflix could go to anything. I'm glad that Band is helping lift people's spirits for you, Jenny. Yeah, the Juman and Zyuohger could be aliens. That could be an alien migration. I've often entertained the idea of that, because SPD was clearly an established entity by 2025 when the series happens. I've always entertained the idea that New Tech City is sort of a quiet experiment in alien migrations, and that it would be something that would be revealed to the general populace through the 2023-2024 series, and I always thought that would be a cool idea. But I don't think the producers are necessarily going to go that way, and I have no idea what they're going to do instead. 2023-2024 is completely up in the air. Maybe it'll be one series. Maybe it'll be two. Maybe it'll be a mini-series or two. Maybe it'll be a mini-series and then a movie and the show starts over in an animated form. No clue. No idea. I can't even speculate because there's just not even close to having enough information about any of it. Hasbro is kind of a black box right now when it comes to any information regarding the future of the series post Dino Fury. We know that there's a plan for the Entwistle universe. We have no new information on what that plan is. They're planning a movie. They're planning a new series, but we don't know anything about them. And yeah, Shadow Ranger, that's true. He does appear in Strongest Battle. That could tie into those things as well. So, my voice is dying a little bit, and I do have a rapid run through and deeper look to try to record. I don't know how I'm gonna survive with my throat the way it is. Plus, plenty more scripts to write. More so, I still have plenty of scripts to finish. Both with the deeper looks, I still got 3 scripts to finish, and also with Power Reviews. Although I have filmed things from the remaining episodes, I haven't finished all of those scripts. Each one of them has, like 97, 99, 100, all have some scenes that I still have yet to actually find time to finish writing. So I do need to work on that. Even though I have filmed scenes from 97, 98, 99, 100, they've only been the scenes I've already written. Not, I still have more things that still need to be finished, unfortunately, because the work is never done until hopefully October 13th. Knocking on wood. And yeah, Kira Major and Tokyuger, don't know what to think on those. I also don't know if Hasbro even has the rights to any Sentai past Ryu Soldier. I'm totally up in the air right now. I love to speculate about this stuff, but it's just we have no idea what they have the rights to. We have no idea if they intend to continue adapting. We have no idea if they intend to continue to have double seasons, single seasons, mini seasons. It's just all so uncertain right now, and I'm really looking forward to having some answers. I'm hoping this month we'll get something, usually around, 1 year out, like March. By the end of March, we usually get an announcement on what the next year is going to be. That's happened for the last good number of seasons. But I don't know. There were years in the past when we didn't get things leaked until a fair bit later, like April, or I don't think generally later than April. So hopefully before the end of April, we should know what next year is going to be. I would love to do sort of a cast party wrap-up series, or not wrap-up series, sort of a cast party wrap-up special on Power Reviews. I'd need to reach out to everybody though. I haven't really talked to them about that, but I think it would be fun. What's been my favorite scene in Power Reviews to film? I don't know. I'm not sure if I have a specific favorite. There have been a lot of fun little scenes. I'm trying to think if there's been a specific favorite. I mean, there's definitely been plenty of fun gags, but they're a lot of times they're recurring things. I really liked filming the first ever fight because that was momentous. It felt very momentous to film in the Phantom armor for the first time. So those were big things. Um, it, there's definitely like stuff with everybody filming in the apartment together because it was all my friends all together actually filming at the same time. That's always fun. Because anytime you have a friend over and you're filming and you're filming a scene where you get to play back and forth, it's just been a really nice opportunity to catch up with friends who I don't get to see very often, because I'm so busy. So it's like, hey Dave, did you hear about Hamilton? Hey, have you seen Inside? You know, we're gonna sing some songs. We're gonna hang out. You're going to be super nice about us rambling and, you know, dedicating your time, etc. We'll all go out for sushi after we just filmed in the basement of the college. You know, running around in the tunnels when escaping with Mayo and getting caught in the cages, and then it being like sunrise just as we were finishing. There's just been so many. There's been a lot of good memories, honestly. There's definitely been a lot of tough times. There's definitely been, you know, emotional moments where we're all tired and we want to finish, but we just can't keep going. And it's just feeling that heavy burnout. But there's been a lot of good times too. There's been a lot of good times working with friends, and I'm glad that I've had that opportunity, and that's been one of the best parts of filming, is when I can film with friends. Yeah, that's been my primary socialization method for the last 10 years, and yeah, it'll be nice to actually be able to hang out with them outside of filming again, because I miss that. Getting a little maudlin here, sorry. And yeah, Dyrano, feel free to send me whatever on Twitter. And Rudy, will I still buy any Power Ranger toys? It'll still be on my holiday list and birthday list, I'm sure. I'm definitely not as much of a collector as I used to be. But anyway. So I think here's a good place to wrap up, before I get too nostalgic. So, thank you all again, and let's not forget our final 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat. Love is love. Number 2, say it with me, chat. Trans rights are human rights. And number 3, say it with me, chat. Robots are cool. Even when they get ambushed. All right. So next week we will continue the Super Mega Fall. But until then, thank you all for joining me. And until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.